From scary cemeteries and mysterious houses, here are 17 of the most haunted locations in the U.S.
STULL Cemetery, Kansas, also referred to as the Gates of Hell. It's found in Douglas County, Kansas. Stories about the devil appearing in the area have fueled the idea that the cemetery is one of the 7 portals to hell. The entire graveyard is said to be infused with evil, supernatural forces. According to legend, if you knock on a rock from the church's pile of rubble, the devil will give you an answer. Would you dare?
Before we move on, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload.
Bacon's Castle, Virginia.
Built in 1665, this is said to be one of the oldest houses in Virginia and is the oldest documented brick edifice in the United States. Witnesses have claimed to see furniture and other objects being repositioned without human intervention. A face with black eyes has allegedly been seen within a glowing ball of light, which appears temporarily and then vanishes.
The Shanghai Tunnels, Oregon. The term Shanghaiing was used in the 1850s to reference the practice of luring and kidnapping people to serve aboard sailing vessels. The Shanghai Tunnels of Portland, Oregon were built in the 19th century to transport goods from the waterfront to businesses to avoid street traffic. But by some accounts, they were also used for Shanghaiing unsuspecting targets. The angry ghosts of trafficking victims are said to haunt the tunnels in which they were sold. St. Augustine Lighthouse, Florida. This tower was constructed between 1871 and 1874 and is the second lighthouse built in the Sunshine State. It has a rich history that includes a lot of ghost stories and paranormal legends. It's thought that numerous tragic events occurred in the vicinity of the lighthouse and that may have stoked the supernatural activity. Some of the better-known stories involve the ghost of a lighthouse keeper that fell and died while painting the structure. Visitors claim to see the apparition and hear the sounds of kids playing on the grounds. The lighthouse is still operating today as a museum and is St. Augustine's oldest brick structure still standing. Hotel Monte Vista, Arizona. This historic establishment is located in Flagstaff, where it opened in 1927. Its 73 rooms and suites have been occupied by many celebrities over the decades, including Anthony Hopkins and Humphrey Bogart. The establishment is also known for hosting other occupants that checked in, but never checked out. The specter of an older woman sitting in a rocking chair can sometimes be glimpsed in room 305. Housekeepers said they've heard the sounds of infants screaming in the hotel's basement, and there's a phantom bellboy who knocks on guests' doors and announces, "Room service? What sort of tip would you give him?" Westminster Hall and Burying Ground, Baltimore. Located in Baltimore, Maryland, this graveyard was founded in 1785 and is likely best known as the burial site of Edgar Allan Poe. It's said that his apparition has been seen wandering through the church grounds, but it's most often seen near the location where his body was buried. The area is also said to be the burial site for the Screaming Skull of Cambridge. That's believed to be the skull of a minister who was murdered. After screams were heard from his tomb, the minister's skull was encased in cement to block out the noise. But even today, some visitors claim to hear the screaming skull. Westgate Hotel, Las Vegas. Prior to becoming the Westgate, this establishment was known as the Las Vegas Hilton. It opened as the International Hotel in 1969 when it signed Elvis Presley to star in their showroom. From 1969 to 1976, the King performed 636 times and sold out every show. During that record-breaking run, more than 2.5 million fans were estimated to have seen his performances. Since he passed away in 1977, many staff and visitors claim that the presence of Elvis can still be sensed in the hotel. His spirit has allegedly been seen and heard throughout the building, including the showroom. Depending on who and what you believe, Elvis still hasn't left the building. The Pittock Mansion, Oregon.
Henry Pittock was a business tycoon who decided to build a dream house in Portland for himself and his wife Georgiana. When it was finished in 1914, the mansion had 46 rooms and featured luxuries like an elevator, a walk-in refrigerator, and a central vacuum system. The couple didn't have long to enjoy their dream home. By 1919, both of them had passed away, although some heirs remained as residents. Now a public landmark, visitors have reported unusual incidents like the fragrance of roses filling rooms with no flowers, and a childhood painting of Henry Pittock will reportedly disappear and reappear at different locations within the house.
The Whaley House, California. Some sources claim that this house in San Diego is the most haunted house in the US. It was built in 1857 and was said to be the finest home in Southern California. But it wasn't long until paranormal activity was detected. Heavy footsteps could be heard, which the family attributed to the ghost of a man who was executed on the property for stealing a boat. Paranormal investigators claim that around 30 apparitions have been detected there, which is considered, by any standard, to be a lot. Maybe a large number of phantoms isn't surprising, since the Whaley House was built on the site of a former graveyard. Today, it's a historical landmark where ghost hunting tours are offered monthly. The Myrtles Plantation, Louisiana. This location in St. Francisville currently operates as a bed and breakfast, and it's another contender for being the most haunted house in America. Built in 1796, it's reputedly located on the site of a Native American burial ground. The best-known sighting involves Chloe, a young woman who was a slave at the plantation. Her image has allegedly appeared in photographs taken by visitors. The sound of footsteps made by a man murdered in the house has been reported by visitors and employees. At least 12 ghosts are said to be found at the Myrtle Plantation. Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, West Virginia. This psychiatric hospital was in operation from 1864 until 1994 and had an area of some 242,000 square feet. It was originally designed to care for 250 people. By the 1950s, the facility had become overcrowded with 2,400 patients. By 1994, it was forcibly closed, but later reopened as a museum and tourist attraction. Visitors claim to see shadowy figures darting about, as well as hearing screams and slamming doors. Did you know this place appears in the video game Fallout 76 as Fort Defiance? RMS Queen Mary, California. The final port of this former Royal Mail ship is in Long Beach, where it's permanently moored. But prior to becoming a tourist attraction, the ship had a varied history. After launching as a flagship ocean liner in 1936, she became a troop ship during the 1940s and was known as the Grey Ghost. After that service, the Queen Mary resumed her former role and was a high-profile passenger ship until 1967. There were many deaths documented during the vessel's service. The spirits of people murdered in staterooms have been reported. Likewise mentioned are the apparitions of sailors and crewmen crushed by engine room doors. The engine room itself is regarded as a center of paranormal activity. Apparently, a lot of ghosts boarded this ship but never disembarked. The Winchester Mystery House, California.
After the death of firearms magnate William Winchester, his widow Sarah commissioned this house in 1884. Some disputed accounts claim that its construction proceeded non-stop until she died in 1922. Known for its bizarre architecture, the house in San Jose is said to have around 200 rooms, 10,000 windows, and an estimated 2,000 trap doors. The haphazard building also contains stairs leading to ceilings and doors leading to walls. Some of these oddities have been attributed to Sarah Winchester's belief in ghosts. That could be linked to something allegedly told to her by a medium. She said that unless Sarah built the house non-stop, Sarah would always be haunted by the ghosts of people killed by Winchester rifles.
Eastern State Penitentiary, Pennsylvania. When it opened in 1829, this location in Philadelphia was known as ESP. Maybe that's a fitting acronym, since the prison would later be the site of unexplained phenomena. In its time, this was one of the largest public complexes ever constructed, and it housed notorious lawbreakers like Al Capone. It was known for pioneering the use of solitary confinement upon their prisoners. That led to overcrowding, which forced the institution to close by 1971. But in the 1990s, it reopened as a public museum. ESP looks like a haunted location, and by many accounts it is. Some of the paranormal occurrences involve shadowy figures, pacing footsteps, and disembodied laughter. The Stanley Hotel, Colorado. A large hotel isolated in the mountains probably makes you think of The Shining. In fact, this establishment served as Stephen King's inspiration for the notorious Overlook Hotel featured in his novel. Located in Estes Park, Colorado, it's said to be one of the most active ghost sites in the US. After opening in 1909, it's still believed that the spirits of the original owners can be felt there. Unexplained noises include the sounds of laughter and pianos playing in unoccupied rooms. Guests have also reported lights switching on and off and finding their bags mysteriously unpacked. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, Chicago. Since it opened in 1834, this cemetery in Cook County, Illinois, has commonly been cited as a center of paranormal activity. Some of the strange phenomena reported include floating orbs of light and phantom vehicles that have been involved with near collisions. Other supernatural events include a phantom farmhouse that can shimmer and float before vanishing. The White Lady is an apparition that shows up during a full moon and wanders the graveyard holding an infant in her arms.
Would you be brave enough to enter any of these places? The Winchester House is personally on my list, but let me know in the comments below.
1. The Amityville House, New York. In 1975, the Lutz family moved into the dwelling located at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. They had been advised that it was a site of multiple homicides only a year earlier. That didn't bother them, but several instances of alleged paranormal phenomena did bother them. That included seeing apparitions roaming around the house and demons appearing in the lit fireplace. Doors and windows would slam shut on their own. Green gelatinous slime oozed from the walls, and family members were levitated by unseen forces. 28 days after moving in, the Lutz family fled the premises. The horror story of this house inspired popular books and movies, as well as countless memes.